Tonight, the march towards a title shot continues for the undefeated Peterson brothers. First up is the combination punching of older brother Lamont Peterson. Power punching Anthony Peterson takes center stage in the main event. And live in our studio, he's 25, 6'3", from Youngstown, Ohio, unbeaten, and he says he's ready for the middleweight championship of the world. Kelly, the Ghost Pavlik. Friday Night Fights, now. Friday Night Fights presented by Just for Men. We're in Washington, D.C. at the D.C. Armory. Two blue-chip prospects, Lamont and Anthony Peterson. Anthony facing Luis Ernesto Jose in the main event. And hello, everybody. Welcome into the studios here on Friday Night Fights. I'm Brian Kenny, and this week we are joined by a man who has gone from the undercard to the main event and the long road now to the co-host position here on Friday Night Fights. We welcome in, officially, in a suit, looking sharp, Kelly Pavlik. Kelly, congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, too.
It's great having you here. We're going to talk all about your career and your bright future and just what you've done. I know hardcore fans out there on Friday Night Fights, they've seen this guy before. Made his pro debut here on ESPN2. But take a look at the resume just to see where he's at for the mainstream fans. He's 25 years old, an excellent amateur career, turned pro at 18. So again, he's been fighting on our air for a long time here on ESPN2. Now 31-0, 28 KOs. Yet the math makes sense. 28 out of 31 wins via knockout. And now he is primed for a title shot, the #3 middleweight in the world, rated by Ring Magazine. Saturday night, the showdown against Edison Miranda. Strong guy, Kelly. How do you back him up and bust him up?
Well, that was our game plan. We didn't want him to set up. You know, he comes in with a lot of jabs and throws big right hands. And usually when he fights guys, he does damage when they're going backwards. But we stuck to our game plan. We wanted to keep him going backwards.
Could you have envisioned that ending that you just saw right there? Did you think it was going to? Because I certainly didn't. And again, I've been watching you a long time. I respected you a long time. But after seeing what he did to Alan Green, I didn't think you could just pound him and stop him. He's never been stopped before.
Well, we had a different training regimen for this fight, too. You know, me and my dad and my trainer, we went through things. We went through old school type training, you know, hitting swinging sledgehammers, pushing cars in parking lots. So we wanted to get ourselves physically stronger for this fight than we've ever been in our career. And when we went in there, that's how I felt that night. I just felt strong. We stuck to the game plan. He's not a very sound fighter when he's going backwards, so that's our whole game plan was to keep him going backwards. And, you know, that's one thing I got to give myself credit for in that fight was sticking to the game plan like we did.
And going old school, like Rocky IV, right? Was that Rocky IV where he goes old school? I guess that's about it. We have a lot to talk about. We'll do it throughout the night. Coming up tonight on Friday Night Fights as well, Gaddy and Ward together again. And then is Jermaine Taylor next, the middleweight champion of the world, next for our guest, Kelly Pavlik. Also, Roy Jones Jr. is back, and Floyd Mayweather, #1 pound for pound, will be ringside in Washington, D.C. Let's go there right now. Don't leave even for a second. The Peterson brothers are worth the watch. And up first, it's Lamont Peterson, 23 years old, 20-0. Let's go to Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas.
Thanks, BK. Washington, D.C., a very special place to be this weekend. So many beautiful and historic sights to be seen in the springtime. The White House, the Capitol, and the Washington Monument swarming with tourists. But beyond that, Memorial Day reminds all of us to pause and honor the fallen fighters who have served our country. And a good crowd has come out to do just that and to watch Friday Night Fights at the D.C. Armory. Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe Tessitore, and I welcome you to a very hot and humid D.C. Armory. In just 2 years, the Peterson brothers have gone after it and have claimed that title of can't-miss prospects. They've impressed on the road. They grew up here in Washington as abandoned homeless children to top fighters. Now they get a chance to impress here at home. Anthony and Lamont unbeaten, rolling through the respective divisions. Lamont, the older brother, by 14 months. He's 20-0, a ranked junior welterweight. Anthony, 22-0, 16 knockouts, already the #1 contending lightweight, according to one organization. Lamont Peterson is coming up in our first fight, perceived as the slicker boxer of the two. Tonight he's going to be facing off against an accomplished veteran. 4-time title challenger John Brown will be opposite Lamont. Now, I'm now joined by my partner, Teddy Atlas. There's so many similarities with the Peterson brothers, but as their careers move on, it seems there is a bit of separation in one category. That is that Anthony tends to be the power puncher. At least he has that disposition as a puncher.
Well, there's some physical proof for your theory and for your idea there for Anthony, as you see him now, to be the bigger puncher. Like they see, or they say on that program CSI, the physical proof is they had a common opponent. And Anthony knocked him out in the 3rd round. His brother Lamont won a 3-round decision. Against Jose, here the opponent for Anthony, that power will show itself because Jose stays in front of you. Expect Anthony to bang to the drum, downstairs to that body, use that kind of arsenal to really get rid of Jose tonight. I think he's going to want to shine on Memorial Day in front of his home crowd for the first time on national television. I think he has the right guy in front of him to shine and show that power advantage.
Yeah, he has been waiting for this moment. The Petersons double feature just moments away. When we come back, Lamont tees it up first. Stay with us for more Friday Night Fights. ESPN Friday Night Fights, presented by the new Just for Men hair color. Knocks out the gray better than ever. And in part by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And your neighborhood Ace Hardware. Ace, the helpful place. We are not far away from the Capitol building. Lit up to start off this Memorial Day weekend. Lamont Peterson is first up. He faces 4-time world title challenger John Brown in our Friday Night Fight co-feature. John Brown's been doing this for a long time, 18-year pro. Just hasn't been doing it lately. Hasn't fought since last May. 23 career wins. Always been the big issue with Brown is the height. Just 5'3", came in at 140.5. His week has been full of emotions and decisions. Lost his grandmother early in the week. An opponent fell out. He was offered this fight on Wednesday, attended the funeral services yesterday, and then got to Washington, D.C. last night. And here is Washington, D.C.'s very own Lamont Peterson, the older Peterson brother, 23, 5'9", 139.5, a perfect 20-0 with 8 knockouts. His amateur marks, stellar. He collected loads of national titles at every level, just missed out on the Olympics. But stylistically, the Peterson brothers are blossoming more as pros than they ever did as amateurs. Lamont broke new ground on our air in February of 2006. It was the first time he ever went the full 10 rounds, and he did so in an exciting fight with Jose Moreno. Lamont was able to outwork Moreno and land the more significant shots, but Moreno was game, and he provided a steady test. Still, Lamont won by wide margins. This past January, we saw him against 17-win veteran Joaquin Gallardo. Once again, a strong test, and once again, Lamont passed it, never losing a round on any of the judges' scorecards. So he has dominated on the road. Now it's time to do it with more critical customers looking on. Friends, family, and the potential pressure of an eventual big fight.
I can't lie, yeah, it's more pressure, but it's not nothing I can't handle. I think I can handle the pressure. You know, being as though it's a big event for us, and it's pretty much we're ready to go to that next level. So we have to, every time we go out, have to put on 8 performances. So we'll have to put on the 8 performances tonight.
And there is Lamont Peterson. WBA ranks him number 6 right now. He has a new member of Team Peterson. It's Marvin Thomas, new conditioning coach. And he thinks that's going to make a real difference in terms of his power punching. Says expect to see more power shots, and he's been punching harder in camp. John Brown, a 4-time world title challenger, KO'd by Shane Mosley, fought Chico Corrales, and twice with Stevie Forbes. So fought 3 times for 130-pound titles, and then once against Mosley for a lightweight title. And a tremendous reception for Lamont Peterson. These hometown fans have watched him on ESPN fighting on the road. This morning, a big feature piece in USA Today, and now he arrives back home. Kenny Chevalier is the referee, scheduled for 10.
Chief seconds, let's go. Okay, look here, the main thing I want is a clean break, all right? Watch the low blows, and I don't want them heads used in the wrong way. Okay. Touch these gloves up.
The ring experience, sizing up Peterson and John Brown. Obviously, John Brown in the very late stages of his career. Loads of experience, fought for 4 titles. Only one fight, though, in the last 24 months. That was against Herman the Gojo, who's a very solid-looking junior welterweight. Teddy, you've watched Lamont Peterson through the years. What are you looking for tonight that tells you he has advanced himself?
No cooperation. What I mean by that, Brown at this stage in his career, 18 years as a veteran, 38 years old, 15 years older than the younger Peterson. Brown, quite honestly, usually does enough to lose. And what he likes to do is he'll charge in a little bit and grab. I'm looking for Peterson to show the maturity to make the right choice not to get grabbed. Take a little step back and keep working. He's the younger man. The one thing that Brown does not want to do is work hard every round, especially having taken this fight, as you said, Joe, on Wednesday.
Double jab and a right hand from Lamont. Places a right hand to the body of the small John Brown.
More proof that Brown took this fight on quick notice, not in prime condition. Coming in tonight, the heaviest weight of his 18-year career. If you're a fan of Peterson, simply you want the workload to be high. And banging maybe that little larger body might not be a bad idea.
Strange occurrence there as John Brown demanded that they touch them up to veteran, and he actually got the young prospect to do it. And Peterson was looking at him for a moment saying, "What are you doing? Let's fight." He should have just fought if that was the case.
There will be parts of this fight, especially after we get through the early rounds, where Brown will charge in a little bit. He'll smother a little bit. He might grab a little bit again. That's what I want to see. Peterson keeping those hands free and keeping that work rate up, not letting the veteran Brown escape work, not giving him a free pass. There's no free pass so far.
Good work rate early on here from Lamont Peterson.
Right now, Peterson taking what's given him. Good eyes, good vision by Peterson. Brown walking in, the shorter man, giving him the body when he covers up. Peterson taking it. See, that's what you don't want to see. Right there, that's the question you asked me, Joe. You don't want to see Peterson allowing Brown haven on the inside or break in the work. You don't want to see pit stops if you're a fan of Peterson.
Great looking combination there. He went to the body twice with the left hand and then got the right in the mix up top.
His hand go.
You know, some people, we talked about in the opening, Joe, about Anthony Peterson, the younger brother of Lamont, having the advantage in power. I want to even things up for these brothers. I like both of them. You could say Lamont has the advantage maybe in diversity. He can fight inside, he can fight outside, maybe a little bit more than Anthony does, who likes to walk to you and be in front of you.
This is a good-looking opening round from the undefeated prospect, 20-0, Lamont Peterson here on Friday Night Fights.
Action from the last round, we talked about Brown giving something to Peterson, coming in straight, covering up, and Peterson takes it with those body shots. The only thing you didn't want to see at the end there, you saw it, Joe, where Peterson allowed Brown a little safe haven to smother him.
In that first round, Lamont Peterson to the body, according to the punch track numbers, 22 of 30. And now it's Brown trying to get to the inside as Peterson covers up.
If Peterson doesn't have enough advantages, he can really bring it to the body with the smaller man. Brown, the smaller man. Lightweight and junior lightweight his entire career. Peterson, the bigger man, junior welterweight his entire career.
He's too small.
And there's no way or better way to take advantage of being a bigger man than to bang the smaller man's body. A bigger body can hurt a smaller body.
Just missed with the left hook. Right hand up top lands well on the side.
Again, if you ask me what I want to see, and I could break it down to two things, I would say I want to see Peterson catching Brown on the outside, using those longer arms, catching him at a place that he can catch Brown before Brown can get into a place where he can catch him as he puts punches together real well right there.
Hooks and uppercuts, and most of them landing.
Joe, the other thing I would want to see, I want to see Peterson make Brown pay a price. You can see it right there. Brown, when he tries to get in, will rush a little bit, leave himself a little bit open as he lunges. I'd like to see Peterson time him on the way in.
Sends him back with a jab, tried to drive home a right hand after it. There's that lead uppercut, double uppercut, turns it into a left hook, another left hook, and an uppercut in the midst of that combination. 4 uppercuts, a right hook. Look at the work with the left hand, 4 consecutive left hands from Lamont.
Well, quite honestly, you'd expect that. If Peterson was a fighter that you wanted to get excited about, and we want to get excited about him, you would expect that when he's being given that landscape by his opponent, who at that point was just covering up.
Not everybody does it, though. He's offering it up.
Anybody who's going to go anywhere, Joe,
exactly.
Anybody who's going to have a chance to be a future world champ, guess what? They do it.
It's nice to have him confirm those thoughts.
The only punches you need right now, quite honestly, if you're Peterson, is uppercuts and body shots. When Brown covers up, you can split the guard with the uppercut, and when he covers up, you can go around the elbows to the body.
End of 2. Lamont Peterson not sitting on the stool between rounds here. 2 rounds in the books. In that second round, he was highlighting things with work with the uppercut.
Well, I talked about early on, Peterson taking what's given him. Well, look what's given him by Brown, covering up. The perfect spots to go is to split the guard with the uppercut, as Peterson does right there, and then go downstairs to the body, outside the elbow. Body and uppercuts on the menu for Peterson.
Average punches landed, 35 punches for the first 2 rounds per round for Lamont Peterson. Teddy, you've been around the game a long time. You've seen fighters not take the stool before. What are your thoughts on it?
George Foreman, of course, made that famous in his comeback. He was older, not younger. You'd think he would take the stool, but he was more relaxed. And he was looking for psychological edges with the young whippersnappers. What I think about it is, what you start with, you better end with. If you start standing, you better stay that way all night long. You don't want to suddenly sit down if it's a tough round and let your opponent look across that ring and say, I got him now.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the only thing, but it shows that a fighter is comfortable, he's confident, and he feels he's in charge.
Peterson shakes off that assault from Brown and then sends a body punch Brown's way.
Let him out, let him out.
And let's face it, it's not really new, somebody standing in between rounds. When you're in the gym, Joe, and you do 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds of sparring, what are you doing?
Right.
You're standing. You don't have anybody putting a stool in that corner.
I think your point of the psychological game and how it can actually reverse on you if you do take a seat is fascinating, because that's exactly what could happen. More body work there, 2 left hands, uppercut, and then to a right hand.
A lot of choices here for Peterson. He can go inside as Brown invites him by covering up. Invites him to split the guard with the uppercut as he does. Invites him to go around the gloves, behind the ears, when he puts those earmuffs on, and go around the elbows as he stands right in front in that peekaboo defense. Also an option for Peterson, if he wants, he can do what he's about to do right now. Box on the outside a little bit and get those hands off.
John Brown, 3 body punches.
If I'm giving a report card,
Let's say it out.
I want to give an A+ to Peterson, but right now, probably an A. I know I'm being a little harsh, but the A+ can only be gotten if he makes ground pay in every dimension. And the dimension I'm looking for is when the shorter man, right now, comes forward like that. That's what he's got to do. When the shorter man comes forward and lunges a little bit, I want to see Peterson make him pay a price and pick him off on the way in.
Let him go. Sit him down.
Comes in that time. Trying to do so with the right hand. And now back out at range, working behind that jab.
Not a lot of good news for Brown so far. If he stays outside the longer arms and the quicker hands of Brown, or Peterson finds him. And if he comes inside, the bigger punches of the bigger man, they find him.
Coming to the end of round 3, scheduled for 10 in D.C.
Well, there's a lot of future stars out there. There's a combination put together by me. Alphabetical order, no other order to it. Andre Berto, welterweight, who also was on the Olympic team, representing, I believe, Haiti in the 2004 Olympics. Matt Godfrey, undefeated up in New England. Of course, the fighter underneath him represented Mexico in the 2004 Olympic Games. He's a Golden Boy fighter. And of course, the 2 Peterson brothers. Joe, you mentioned it before in between rounds. Everybody on that list, except for one, has been on our air.
Watching Lamont Peterson in prime form here in round number 4 against John Brown. That is an impressive list. And if you're asking the question, okay, so what happens after Oscar De La Hoya? What happens to boxing? I assure you, you'll be thoroughly pleased with the action fighters coming off that list of Teddy's next great ones, especially the first 2 guys. Matt Godfrey, we just saw him on our air with a knockout win. And Andre Berto, who everybody thinks is going to be a welterweight champion of the world someday. We can report to you there are talks going on right now where Andre Berto will be featured in a main event on ESPN come this summer. It's not official yet, but the talks are ongoing.
And what do all those fighters on that list have in common? All tremendous amateur pedigree.
As is the case with the 2 Peterson brothers. Came up short of the Olympics, but they claimed national titles. And they are shining as pros. Such dedicated guys in the gym. You hear the reports out of the Bald Eagle Rec Center with trainer Barry Hunter. I mean, these guys are fully committed. The uppercuts, the hooks to the body. It has been a steady stream from Lamont Peterson.
Now, there's a connection between the 2 brothers, the 2 Peterson brothers, of course, and there is a connection. Besides talent and good amateur background, technically very solid. And both, I should say, a little bit, not negative, but on the positive side for the opponent, they do give you the same opportunity once in a while to show something. They both cover up in spots in front. And you could see a moment ago, that was the spot that Brown tried to make hay with.
Nice jab here in this final minute of this 4th round from Lamont Peterson.
And there's the spot where Peterson, just for a moment, will cover up, go defensive, put those earmuffs on, and Brown, for that moment, took advantage.
Get him off me.
Double jab right hand from Peterson. He has thrown more jabs in this 4th round than in any other round so far tonight.
Step back, step back.
Right hand to the body as Brown covers up. And a strong finish to this 4th round from Lamont Peterson.
Brian Kenny here in the studio, a 30 at 30 Sports Center update. Former NHL player Rick Tocchet pled guilty to running a sports gambling ring today in New Jersey. This was an Operation Slapshot. He was asked if he ever bet on professional hockey. Tocchet said no. And in baseball, the Rocket will make another minor league start. Roger Clemens will pitch Monday in AAA. He's on target for a June 4th date at Chicago White Sox for the Yankees. Back to Joe Tessitore.
Hey, BK, how about this duo ringside at Friday Night Fights? Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Stevie Franchise, Steve Francis, who is part of the promotional team hosting Friday Night Fights tonight in Washington, D.C. Floyd Mayweather Jr. will be joining us ringside for an extensive chat a little later on. Round number 5 scheduled for 10. Lamont Peterson, 20-0 in the red trunks, taking on the 4-time title challenger John Brown with 23 career wins, but trying to come back off a 13-month layoff. He's in the silver trunks with the black trim.
Brown has not won in his last 7 fights with 2 draws. Very tough spot for him to be in here with the younger Peterson, the bigger Peterson, and of course, as you mentioned, Joe, on top of it, Brown coming off 1 year inactivity 3 fights ago. He was also off for a little over a year. You know, the good news is Brown's getting a chance to knock some of that year's rust off. The bad news is the rust is being knocked off by Peterson.
Yeah, it's not just lingering in the ring that's doing it. They're the total punches that are doing it, and here's a look at them. Lamont Peterson has landed over 100 more punches than John Brown. Strong right hand to the side. You know, even the shots that don't hit flush to the body are grabbing a piece of the arm of John Brown, and they have to take their toll as we get deeper and deeper into this fight.
Well, just a moment ago, you saw something that just passed by. It looked like nothing, but just a little subtle thing that experienced guys like Brown, who's fought 9 world champions, as you said, he fought for a world title 4 times. Just a little thing that got him out of trouble a moment ago. He got hurt with a right hand to the body, but he stepped back, and even though he was hurt, he banged his stomach like, come on, bring a little more. He wanted no more to that body, but psychologically, he wanted to make sure that he showed no hurt to the younger Peterson and really say, yeah, go to the body and get Peterson to think there was no sense of going there.
Brown scored for a moment, and Peterson comes right back at him, driving, strafing attack with the right hand.
There are opportunities here for Peterson, who's well ahead in the fight, obviously, as he gives a little spot to Brown when he covers up and kind of pulls the plug on offense. But there's opportunities for Peterson to stop Brown.
Watch the kidneys.
And it's going to come from 2 things, Joe. Putting punches together and not allowing Brown to recover. When he hurts Brown, and he's done it twice this round already, he must make sure that he doesn't go into a little bit of a lapse. He must make sure that once Brown is hurt, he continues. Stop.
John Brown, Lamont Peterson, starting up the second half of this scheduled 10-round fight. Round number 6, it has been all Lamont Peterson. Let's look at the punch track numbers that Peterson has put forth so far tonight. He has thrown 377 and counting total punches. 86 connects to the head, 85 to the body. Impressive balance. A guy who knows something about punching is our studio guest tonight. The hard punching, perhaps most feared middleweight in the world right now, Kelly Pavlik. Kelly, we're so glad to have you with us. It wasn't long ago that you were in this position that Lamont Peterson is in, an undefeated prospect. Where do you think he is? What stage of the game do you think he's at in that ladder of prospect to fringe contender to contender to title challenger? Where do you put him?
I think he's on his way there. He's looking very sharp tonight. He's throwing punches, a lot of punches. His conditioning looks good. Sharp hand speed's there. I think he could have a lot more power if he sits down on his punches a little more. I think he's wasting a lot of shots tonight. You know, a lot of body shots, a lot of uppercuts that are being blocked. I think if he sits there and uses a little bit more feints and sets up more straight right hands down the middle, I think, you know, he can end the fight.
Kelly, I think our fans would be interested after seeing you in that great performance with Miranda not too long ago. The way you mentally kept yourself together. When you did get hit some big shots by a big puncher, you took them well. How much of that is from the confidence and the area of having a great amateur background, and how much of it is just having a good chin? I think our audience would like to know how important having those amateur fights have been to you to find out about yourself.
It was a little bit of everything, you know. First, the training regimen went through. My dad with me, and my trainer Jack. So that helped a lot. We were ready going into that fight. We were strong, and then the experience from the amateurs definitely. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that happen in that fight, even in the pros, that you know, go back to your amateur days and learning things and the experience with the jab, the straight punches down the middle. When I had him hurt, you know, instead of just throwing wild punches, I took my time and threw him down the middle. So just a lot of different things that we stuck to, and it turned out for the better.
Good right uppercut from Lamont Peterson. Kelly, we look forward to hearing you with Brian Kenny as you break down your fight with Edison Moreno a little later on. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Another strong round from Lamont Peterson.
And the only punches that Peterson really needs right now, you always want the jab to set your man up, but it's the body shot and the uppercut. They are there all night long as Brown covers up.
And not far away, peeking from behind the curtain of his locker room, is his brother Anthony Peterson. Anthony Peterson will be coming up in the main event against Luis Ernesto Jose. We asked him what he expects.
I land a solid left hook, is over. It's over. Any of my shots I land that's clean is over. And that's, you know, not me being cocky or nothing, but that's how I feel. You know what I mean? You know, I've been on ESPN several times, you know, fighting. A lot of people say me, but I think I'm far more greater than what I've shown y'all. And it's just about me showing you guys tonight.
Little brother getting ready. Anthony Peterson, Luis Ernesto Jose. That is still to come in our Friday night fight main event. Meanwhile, Barry Hunter, Lamont Peterson still standing between rounds. The body work tonight, Teddy. I am not sure through 6 rounds I have ever seen body punch stats quite like this, landing 76% of his body punches.
And true, Joe, but again, in all fairness, you probably haven't seen too many opportunities or landscapes that have been set up by an opponent to allow for body punching. Brown allows for a lot of body punching, but to Peterson's credit, he is doing it, and he is making sure he's taking advantage of those opportunities.
You can imagine Teddy Atlas's scorecard. 9-10 mirror images, 6 ways across, 60 to 54.
I guess the easiest thing I could say, Joe, if you don't go to the body with a guy like Brown, you're never going to go to the body.
And he's gone there time and time again. Now coming out, utilizing the jab early on here.
Now there's spots where Brown, again, he's shorter. He will lunge. He will not work his way in. He will lunge to get in. Right there. I'm looking ahead. I know unless something really drastic and out of the sky happens, Peterson's going to get a W, but I want to see how he gets it. I want to see what he does and how he takes advantage of opportunities for the future. For opponents that he's going to have to do those things that he doesn't have to do to win tonight. I want to see if Peterson makes Brown pay a price as Brown falls in. Right there, Peterson did not make him pay that price. He needs to step back, keep that distance, keep that gap, and fill that hole with punches. And I know that his trainer and mentor, Barry Hunter, is looking to see the same things. He's not looking just for a W. He's looking for progress and things to build on.
Brown turns away for a moment there. Crisp left hand comes down. Peterson lands a right.
I'm going to say something out there that I normally don't say in this kind of situation. I think now Peterson needs to stop Brown. I know he's a veteran. He's 38 years old. He fought for a world title 4 times. He's been around 18 years. He's only been stopped 3 times. I think Peterson needs to stop him. His career's going to go on even if he doesn't. But to really get an A+, needs to stop him for one reason. He can stop him.
He may be closing in on that moment.
And the way he's going to stop him is this. Not allowing Brown to tie up after Brown's been hurt. When Brown falls in, the natural reaction, right there. When he falls in after he's hurt, not allow him to do that. If Peterson hits on all those cylinders and does that, he stops Brown.
Some swelling starting to become more pronounced in the face of John Brown. Coming to the end of 7, we'll see if Peterson can get the stoppage. Mayor Adrian Fenty ringside. A big night for Washington, D.C. boxing as the pound-for-pound elite Floyd Mayweather has come ringside to see the Peterson brothers. And here comes Lamont firing off. Kenny Chevalier looks to be jumping in. Let's see if he's to call for a stoppage or a warning.
That's it. That's it. That's
Stoppage.
It. That's enough. That's it. That's it.
Obviously, you hear some boos here, but if you were watching the punishment that Brown has been taking for the other rounds, the referee probably had his mind made up, Joe, right at the beginning of this round, that if it starts to look like more of the same, I've seen enough.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And it looked much the worse. Take a look back. Opening moments of round 8.
Again, Brown invites you in when he covers up.
Kenny Chevalier hitting the deck as he was trying to stop the fight. Now let's watch it in real time. The opening moments of the 8th round.
Again, those earmuffs on by Brown, inviting the bigger man to go to work. Around the ears, up top, and then downstairs, and then the referee, once he gets his feet up again,
That's it. That's it.
stops the fight. The funny thing was, when he stopped it,
That's it.
Peterson was allowing the one thing to be done that I said if he didn't allow, he would stop the fight on his own. And that was not get tied up. Keep a little space.
Let's make it official by sending it up to the ring to Henry Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, the referee, Kenny Chevalier, calls a halt to the bout, goes into the record books. There's a TKO 28 seconds of the 8th round. He's now 21-0. Lamont, the Purist Peterson.
Lamont Peterson.
Let's hear it for a very game John Brown as well.
A stellar evening for him. Granted, Brown, the layoff, taking the fight on short notice, but Peterson did exactly what he was supposed to do. Let's look at the punch track numbers brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. The body punches. 101 out of 135. That would be an A for Lamont Peterson, landing 46% of his total punches. Teddy has said he needed to get the stoppage. He got the stoppage. The 9th of his career. Lamont Peterson, 21-0. The 23-year-old well on his way. This is how he did it. Opening moments of round number 8. The TKO of John Brown. Anthony is still to come, but first a visit with Kelly Pavlik and Brian Kenny. Gentlemen, take it away.
And as we see it one more time, Kenny Chevalier there, I give him credit, Kelly, because he had it in his mind, I'm stopping this fight. And even though when he got up, everybody looked okay, he was like, no, I'm stopping. I already made it in my mind, this fight's over. What did you think of Lamont? Again, we're watching it here together, and it's interesting because you pick your spots and then really lay the power out on somebody. What do you think Lamont can do to get to even the next level? Clearly it looks great, but what can he do better?
Well, he does look good, but I think if he takes his time a little bit more, wastes a lot of punches there. Some of them uppercuts hit the gloves. But if he sits there and picks his time, does a little bit more feinting with his punches, throws a little more uppercuts after he comes off a feint, I think he can stop. He can stop a lot of people. It looks like he has the power there. It's just everybody knows it's coming because every punch he throws is a hard punch. But we didn't see much today with John Brown, the guy he fought. So we'll see what happens when he fights a guy who's going to come and throw a lot of punches.
It'll be fascinating when someone comes at him that he's got to bring out the whole arsenal and show everything. Look, again, Kelly Pavlik is here, now one of the top middleweights in the world, and we've seen him for years. But this was a true contender showdown this past weekend, where we've also seen Edison Miranda wins over Howard Eastman, Willie Gibbs, and then Alan Green. Kelly with wins over Bronco McCart, Lenore Pierre, Jose Luis Zertuche, and then here in round 6, you finally got to him. Again, we showed the early round where you were able to back him up. What was happening here at this point, Kelly? What were your thoughts?
Just stay on him. I had him hurt, and I was hoping that the referee would have stopped it, earlier because...
Come out for round 7. You were surprised by that?
Yeah, I was surprised. Well, then again, actually, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that I stopped him as quickly as he did in the 7th because he looked like he got his legs back under him in the 7th round. But he's a warrior, and I know he wasn't going to quit that easy.
It's the first time he's been stopped. As you see, first KO loss in 30 pro fights. He has a loss with Arthur Abraham, but that he was fighting to the bitter end on that one. Now Kelly Pavlik becomes #1 contender for one of the belts. Again, he's #3 in Ring Magazine. And after what people saw together on that HBO telecast, where they saw Jermaine Taylor and they saw Kelly Pavlik, I think people are thinking, all right, Kelly's ready for this guy. Let's take a look at what Edison Miranda had to say, because I guess Edison had a lot to say before the fight.
Yes, he did.
But Kelly, how about this? After the fight, and a good sportsman, Edison, who really talks a lot, says, congratulations on your win. It was an honor to be in the ring with a warrior who thinks and fights like you do. I hope we fight again. He's got such strength. Did you think you could bang with him, Kelly? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and as I said earlier, our game plan was to stay on him and suffocate some of his wild punches, his right hand. He hit me flush with a couple of the right hands, though, and we took it. He hits hard. He hit like we expected him to, but we just prepared ourselves ready, for that. And towards the end, we just wore him down. We train for every fight, throwing a lot of punches around.
Alan Green has very heavy hands, and he fights mostly at 168. After you saw what he did to Alan Green, you still took that fight. Why? What was in your mind at that point? Because I was thinking, I don't know, should Kelly Pavlik take that fight? What did you think?
Well, fights, styles make fights also. Alan Green wasn't fighting the way I think he could fight. He backed up, and actually it showed me a lot right there. When he was backing up the whole time, that's when he got in trouble. But as soon as he backed Edison Miranda up, that's when he did his best, and he put Miranda down on a canvas. So after watching that fight, we just put that game plan together. I think once we back him up and keep him going backwards and hit him with our power shots, he's not going to be able to handle that. And that's how it turned out. Saturday night.
Well, that was an excellent fight. People loved watching that fight. Then it was, again, that was on the undercard. Then the main event was the middleweight champion of the world, Jermaine Taylor, taking on the former welterweight champion of the world, Corey Spinks. Again, Corey had moved up to 154, had a good win over Roman Carmazin and Rodney Jones. So he's up, moves back. And now for people who said Corey, never hit Jermaine, not true. You saw it there in round 2 where he had a good shot. Also in round 1, he really boxed, I thought, beautifully in this fight and showed that he could actually fight at 160. Bit of a surprise. Jermaine Taylor's punch output was stunningly low. Manny Stewart in the corner with Jermaine Taylor basically yelling at Jermaine Taylor between rounds all through the late going. But here's the scorecards now, and it was strange in that Dick Flaherty had it 117-111 for Taylor, but then on the other side, 117-111, for Spinks, and then on the other side for Taylor, and then you had the one close judge of 115-113. Kelly, again, I've gone through this a lot here on Friday Night Fights. I'll give you my honest scorecard because sometimes you watch the telecast, and I have a lot of respect for the guys who do the HBO telecast. However, sometimes everything that they're saying is not what everyone else would agree with. I had it 7-5 Corey Spinks. Kelly, I thought, look, if someone had it 7-5 Jermaine Taylor, I wouldn't be stunned. However, I had it 7-5 Spinks. It could be 6-6. It was close. I don't think Corey Spinks is getting the credit for the boxing job he did against a bigger man.
No, before the fight, I told a lot of people, don't be surprised if Spinks goes in there and wins if he outboxes Taylor. I mean, Corey Spinks is a great boxer. I don't think he belongs at 160 still, you know, but he's a really good boxer, and close fights like that, you got to understand that Jermaine Taylor's still kind of young too, and he's the world champion. And I think the reason why he's getting a lot of these close decisions is because to beat the champion, you got to not only beat him, but you have to beat him convincingly.
You're not supposed to, though. You're supposed to win rounds, you know? You're supposed to win rounds, Kelly. What did you think of Jermaine's performance? Given that, look, you're looking at him now, what did you think of his performance in this fight?
I think he could have done a lot better. I think he could have punched a lot more. Overall, great. I give him on a rating of 10, I give him probably about a 4 from that performance. I just think he could have done so much better. All he had to do was just let his hands go. It's boxing. It wasn't, Dancing with the Stars. And Taylor could throw a lot of punches. He's strong. He's a big middleweight. He's got a lot of tools. I just think he should start using them more.
Let's take a look at the middleweight rankings. You're a tough grader, by the way, but that's you're in that position where you can make those grades. Here are the Ring Magazine rankings. The #1 contender is Winky Wright, and Winky again fought Jermaine Taylor to a draw. I thought Winky actually, again, my honest scorecard, I thought Winky Wright actually beat Jermaine Taylor by a slight margin. A lot of fans think that, but Winky is #1. He's fighting for the light heavyweight championship of the world this summer against Bernard Hopkins. Then Arthur Abraham, then Kelly Pavlik, and then from there, look, a lot of good middleweights out there. Still, Edison Miranda is now #4. Felix Sturm is there. Sergio Mora creeping up. He had a shot at Jermaine Taylor, did not take it. So You fought Jermaine Taylor in the amateurs, in Olympic trials. Is this now the time for you to go after the middleweight championship of the world?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's a perfect time. You know, he's starting to have a hard time making middleweight. I'm having a hard time making middleweight. I think this is a great opportunity for us to fight. You know, he's the world champion. He has the belt. He has a pretty big name right now in the division. So if there's anybody I want to fight, you know, of course I want to fight him. But if not, you know, we'll move on. We'll see what else is out there. Hopefully, they strip him of the title and let me fight for it, for the vacant title. But, you know, that's all up to Works Top Rank. We'll take care of that, you know, the networks, the organizations, and we'll see what happens.
I think the fans know what's going on, and the fans know Jermaine Taylor's the middleweight champion of the world. But Joe Calzaghe is out there, and we had him on this program not too long ago. And he's here at the 168-pound world champion, the Ring Magazine champion. Are you surprised that the quotes that I've seen recently from Lou DiBella, from Jermaine Taylor, from Manny Stewart, Calzaghe, they're saying, no, I mean, the general feeling is we don't want Joe Calzaghe. I thought that super fight would be a way to cash in and maybe not fight you. It seems like they are gearing up more toward you than Joe Calzaghe. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm glad about that, but you know, I don't understand why with Calzaghe. I mean, I think it's a good choice for Taylor. They're offering him good money. Calzaghe, he's not gonna. If he loses, he's not gonna be done with boxing because people are gonna say, well, he jumped up to super middleweight. Right. You know. But I hope he don't take the fight, and I hope he does stay down at middleweight and, you know, fight me. But if they were offering me the money that they're offering Taylor to go fight him, I would fly my own plane out there.
You'd go to Wales.
Yes.
You go to Wales, 35,000 people in a soccer stadium?
Yes.
Okay. Well, look, it's interesting because if Joe Calzaghe now says, all right, I don't have Taylor, he'll have to fight Mikkel Kessler. One would hope, his top contender, and Jermaine then hopefully would fight you, and you're a top contender as well. This makes sense for the fans.
It does.
Everything could work out beautifully. What would happen now, this is what the fans are saying here, if Kelly Pavlik fights for the middleweight championship against Jermaine Taylor, what would the outcome be? You won a lot of people over, Kelly. What are your thoughts on that? That people would pick you to knock out Jermaine Taylor right now?
You know, it's good. After all these years, you know, Jose Luis Ortucci was a rugged, tough fighter who could take a good punch. He was on the 2000 Olympic Mexican team, which is, anytime you get on that team, you could obviously fight. He could punch with both hands. But these are the type of fights I was taking. I'm taking these dangerous fights with guys that could take a punch and give one. And I'm taking, you know, care of business quick, too. You know, I'm just not winning a sloppy decision.
Right.
You know, taking them out. So I'm glad I'm starting to get a little bit of the respect. But we're going to live this up, and we still got the world title, that goal. So we got to get back to business and, you know, take care of everything and let this fight go.
Yeah, you're in a good spot. Be great for you to get that fight. All right, more with Kelly Pavlik throughout the night. Again, we're looking forward to Anthony Peterson, though. Anthony Peterson in the ring in the main event. Big Memorial Day weekend as well. Floyd Mayweather is there ringside. Let's go there right now.
Yeah, BK, we're going to visit with Floyd in a little bit. Good look at the Iwo Jima Memorial here in D.C. It's long been our plan to bring ESPN Boxing to Washington, D.C. for Memorial Day weekend. And we have guests of honor who are with us here at the D.C. Armory tonight. Wounded soldiers who are recovering. They have given so much of themselves in their service to our country. And Teddy and I were truly blessed to have the chance to spend Thursday at the nearby Walter Reed Military Hospital. It was a wonderful, wonderful visit we had yesterday. We started off our visit at the Malone House, and it is a fine facility in which they care for recovering servicemen and women, as well as providing housing for the families of the soldiers. What an inspiring group of individuals we met with. So positive, such winners. Looking over Teddy's heavyweight championship ring there. The attitudes they carry while dealing with such hardships, just remarkable. We had ESPN staffers with us handing out gifts to the soldiers, but more importantly, thanking them, letting them know how much we appreciate and pray for their well-being. And Teddy, we spent most of our day with the more severely injured warriors, which we're not going to show you, but it was very emotional, it was very revealing, and those individuals redefined for us what it means to be a fighter in many, many ways.
Yeah, to be quite honest with you, I don't want to overdo it, but you almost get embarrassed when people start to try to say that athletes are brave.
I know.
Or athletes are heroes. No, I'm sorry. I'm not a smart guy. I'm not the first one to understand this. But I can tell you, the athletes, whether they're fighters, football players, whatever, they're not the toughest. They're not the bravest. You know, they get paid a lot of money for what they do, and they can be good citizens, and they can be people to even aspire to be like for young people. But the heroes, the courageous ones, the special ones given to us by God to protect our families here on this earth, they're the ones that we saw. And they're the reason why this country is free and they're the reason why we have the lives and the liberties that we have, and we should never forget that.
No doubt. It was a very rewarding experience to be with the Wounded Warriors. Somebody asked me, what was it like? And the only thing I could come up with, it was like pressing the reset button on your life's priorities. That's how humbling of an experience it was.
And that's well put. And again, I think the greatest country in the world, and it's not because of the mountains, and we have some beautiful mountains. It's not because of the oceans. It's not because of the economy. It's because of those men and women.
Our celebration of Memorial Day weekend continues from the D.C. Armory. Our main event is coming up. When we come back, we will visit with Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd will talk about this guy in action, Anthony Peterson, set to come from D.C., his hometown, when we return.